Hi guys, it's Carolyn and today I'm going to be showing you how to make this dress. This dress is a really girly number. It's got loads of volume in the skirt and it's up to you if you want to add even more. You could add an underskirt to create a really puffed out effect. If you like the dress, then log on to my website www.carolynbaxter.co.uk where you can buy the pattern and then use the pattern to follow the step-by-step guide to make your very own. This tutorial is sponsored by Abacan Fabrics. They've provided the fabric for us today to make the dress. If you're interested on using some of their fabric, visit their website. I will put the link below. So many different types and so many different colours, really beautiful fabrics, and they're all at really good prices. Now, I used 4 meters of American crepe and cerise off the Abacan Fabric website. Now, this was £2.20 a metre, so technically you can have your full dress for £8.80 plus the zip and the thread that you need to buy, so it keeps it at a really low cost. For this tutorial, you will need some fabric. Most of the fabric is going to go into the skirt part of the dress, so it just depends on how full you want the skirt, how much fabric to go for. But we've got 4 meters here today. You're going to need thread that matches your fabric. You'll need a zip and some iron-on interfacing. You're going to need pins, scissors, and of course your sewing machine. You're going to start off by cutting your 2 bust pattern pieces out of your large piece of fabric. You then want to cut your waistbands out on the fold, so this means that you're folding over your fabric, placing the waistband down with the edge hitting the fold, pinning in place, and then cutting out. You need to do this 2 times. When you open it up, it should look like this. Now you have 2 of these, you want to mark the middle on both pieces. Do that by placing the pattern piece on top. This will show you where the middle is. Mark it with a pencil. Do this on both pieces. Now you want to cut out your interfacing the same way as you did in the waistbands. Then iron it face down on one of the pieces. Press both sides with the iron. Place one part of your waistband on top of the other. The good sides should be facing each other and the backs should be facing out the way. Pin in place along the top, and you're going to be sewing from here to here and then leaving a gap in the middle and then from here to here. When you're sewing your waistbands together, make sure that you leave a 1 centimetre seam allowance. It's time to press it now, so you're going to turn it the other way around and you're going to use the iron to press that open. You should have a waistband that looks something like this now. This top edge has been pressed and folded, even that gap there I've folded down, and the bottom edge should be raw. Now you're going to take your skirt fabric, which should be a big long rectangle. You're going to finish the 2 short edges by folding over once and pressing with the iron, and then taking to the sewing machine and folding over again. Both your short edges of your fabric should be finished like this now. I've now folded over the fabric in the middle so that both short edges meet. You're going to take a ruler and measure 7 inches from the edge and mark with a pin on one side. Then you're going to do the same at the other side also. And you're going to pin both pieces of fabric together. You're then going to sew the middle area between these two pins that you've marked. Once you've done that, it should look like this, sewn in the middle with two open edges which are 7 inches. Pressing that seam now open with the iron to keep it nice and neat. It should look like this on one side and then like this on the other. You're going to mark the middle of the long edge with a pin like so. Now you've got your big loop of fabric like this. You want to take both ends which have the 7-inch opening and pick them up so that they meet together. You're now going to line these long edges up all the way round. This will create one big loop. Once you've lined these top long edges together, pin them all the way along together and then sew so that they're secured together. This is what you should have now, and they'll be sewn together along that top edge so that they stay together. Where you've marked with the pin earlier will be the front of the skirt. Next up, you're going to take your waistband and mark the centre with a pin. Open your waistband up so that both good sides are facing up the way. You're then going to take the middle of the skirt and line it up with the middle of the waistband, like so. Once you've pinned the middle of the skirt to the middle of the waistband, find the end where the 7-inch opening is and pin that to the end of the waistband. You're now going to start gathering up this excess fabric in between the two pins. To do so, lift up the fabric, finding the middle, and then place it in between the two pins. If you carry on this process, the loops will get smaller and it means that you're gathering the fabric in evenly. It's easier to do half of the waistband at each time, so start off with this half, and once you've gathered it all in place and sewn, you can then move on to the other side. Once you're done, you should have something that looks like this. It's now time to sew the gathers in place, so I will be sewing right along there to secure. At this point you should have something that looks like this. Now the front should look like this when you've pinned it in place, and the back like so. So all the way along there now, so that you've got your gathers sewn into the waistline. Now I've gathered one side of the waistband, I'm doing the same at the other. So I'm pulling up a loop and pinning it in between the two pins. Then doing so again, pulling up a loop and pinning the middle in between the middle of the two pins. Continually do this until the loops get smaller and smaller. This is you gathering up the skirt. Once you've sewn in your gathers, you should have something that looks like this. Now it's time to move on to the back of the waistband. You're going to take the waistband, turn it over, and fold in a 1 cm seam allowance. You want to press this with the iron. You want to do this all the way along the length of the waistband. When folded back over, it should look like this, with the raw edge folded and tucked in. Now you're going to take your 2 bust pattern pieces that you cut out earlier. You want to finish along the long edges, so you're going to fold over 1 cm and press with the iron, and then fold over again and sew. Next up, you're going to be taking your skirt and marking from the middle point of the skirt about 1 to 1.5 inches, just depending on where you want your strips of fabric to come from. Now I've marked 1.5 inches. Now you're going to fold in your folds at one end of the rectangle. Your pattern will guide you on this. Once folded, sew along here. Now it's time to insert your bust pattern pieces into the waistband. Remember, you have the gap at the top, middle, and this is where they're going to go. You've marked with the pins where you want to place them. Place them face down onto the waistband and pin into place. Then you're going to take it away and sew. Down this back area here. Once you've sewn them in, it should look like this. Now it's time to close the gap in the waistband, so you're going to flip your inside waistband round so that its good side is facing the front waistband, and you're going to have the bust pattern pieces sandwiched in between the 2 waistbands and sew right along the back. Use the stitching line that you stitched to secure the bust pattern pieces in as a guide. Sewing along here. You'll have something like this now, and the inside waistband is ready to hand stitch in place. Snip off any little bits of thread that are poking out, and then fold your waistband over and pin in place. It's now time to hand sew the waistband all the way along the inside of the dress. The only thing left to do now is to insert your zip. And once you've done that, you've got your beautiful dress ready to wear. Check out my YouTube channel for more dress tutorials on how to make your own red carpet dress.